These are all the books that I read this November. It was a very heavy reading month, so let's go through it. Hey y'all, if you're new here, my name is BME Queen, and I talk about books that are blackity black, but this video is gonna be about all the books that I read this November. And if you remember, I am trying to hit my goal of 52 books this year, and this month I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12 books. All the books are not black owned, but I will tell you the ones that are as I go through the video, and I will be rating them for you guys. There's just so many. Where do I start? First, we're gonna start with Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hilbert. This one is a goodie. So this is about a woman who is a professor at university, and she gets caught in an elevator during a school fire alarm, and she gets saved by the security guard that works in her building. The video of him rescuing her goes viral on the internet, and everyone wants to know about this couple. The only thing is, they aren't actually a couple. Because they're getting so much positive feedback from the viral video, they decide they're going to fake their relationship until their 15 minutes of fame is over. So this was a really great book. Author for this book actually has written a series, and her series just got picked up to be produced into a TV show. So that's awesome. That just happened within the last few days, but I read it a few weeks ago. This book was really funny. I really did enjoy it. It's a very interesting trope where the woman is like, I don't want any strings attached. I just want to be here for the spice. And he is like, but I really like you, so let's really date. And she's like, no thanks. So it's very interesting in that it doesn't follow in the usual tropes, and I really love that about this book. I gave it a 4 because, like I said, it is really interesting. The plot thickens as they get deeper and deeper into this relationship. So I love this book so far. I can't wait to see it on screen. Let's go to the next one. Next is The Violin Conspiracy, and this is by Brandon Solacom. So this is a black authored book as well. This is one of the first black male authors I have read in quite some time. It's been at least 9 months, I would say. I haven't read a black male authored book in a long time. This book is about a very famous black male musician who is a violinist. He owns a violin that is worth $10 million, and it is stolen. When the violin is stolen, they place a Chuck or a Converse shoe in place of the violin case, and in it is a ransom note. Throughout the story, they're trying to figure out who stole his violin and how he can get it back. But what's interesting about how the story is told is that it starts when the violin goes missing, and then it backtracks throughout his career, especially as a violinist and being one of the very few black violinists in the United States. Then it ends in present day. So I like the order in which the story is told. It's very interesting. However, this is a lot of musician and violin knowledge, where if you do not know about music, it's going to be a little bit difficult to follow. It was a little bit difficult for me to follow, and I actually used to be a musician, so I played quite a few instruments. None of them were string instruments though, but I did have to look up quite a few references from this book, so that part I was not expecting. It wasn't a bad thing because I did learn a lot while reading this, but if you do not have a deep knowledge of music, this probably isn't the book for you. That being said, I gave it a 3. I liked the way it ended, but it goes into very deep detail about music, specifically classical music. So if that's not your jam, this book isn't gonna be for you. It was a pretty good read, and I did like the setup of this mystery novel, so that was really cool. But let's move on to the next one. So this is Dial A for Aunties, and this is an Asian American authored book. I did not know what to expect from this book, but I absolutely loved it. It was so good. This one is about a woman whose mom sets her up on a date through a dating app. So her mom pretends to be her on the dating app, sets her up on the date. She goes on the date, and the date does something extremely inappropriate and scary, and she mistakenly unalives him. Instead of reporting his death to the cops, she takes his body back to her family, so her mom and her 3 aunties, and they help her hide the body. This is such a funny story. There's so many twists and turns. I did not expect what was coming next. I read this book in 2 days. It was really, really good. I gave this book 5 stars. I rarely give books 5 stars, but this was so good. What I like about this novel is that they incorporate Chinese and Indonesian culture, so you learn a lot about the culture along with reading this mystery. It is so good. Like, I was looking for Jesse Santano's other stories because I just love this so much. So I will keep my eyes peeled to see if I find another book by this author, but I cannot recommend this enough. This was a really juicy book. Next is something from Tiffany. So this is by Melissa Hill. This is not a Black authored book, but it was in the theme of holiday spirit, which I love Christmas and I also love Tiffany. So I wear my Tiffany's necklace. Oh, I'm not wearing it today. I usually wear my Tiffany's necklace in every single video, but I'm not wearing it today. Anyway, love this book. I picked it up because I like Tiffany's, and this one is about a British guy who is in New York City with his girlfriend that he wants to propose to. So he goes to Tiffany's and buys her an engagement ring, but on his way out of the store he sees that another man, an Irish man, is hit by a taxi, and he goes to help that Irish man get into the hospital, get into the ambulance, etc. Well, while they are collecting each other's belongings after, you know, him getting hit by the taxi, his bags get swapped with the other guy. So the Irish man also went to Tiffany's earlier that day, but he bought a charm bracelet for his girlfriend, not an engagement ring. So it isn't until British man tries to propose to his girlfriend that he realizes that he has a charm bracelet and not the ring. So this entire story, he's trying to figure out how to get the engagement ring back. The story originally takes place in New York City, but then it ends up going overseas, back to London and also to Dublin. So it has multiple settings in this case. This was a pretty long story. I think it could have been cut at least 50 pages, but overall I gave this story a 3. I thought it was really cute and very holiday spirit-esque. So normally when I read UK setting type of novels, it becomes a little bit difficult for me to follow what's going on, but this story actually did a really good job of kind of like an American version of a UK book, if that makes any sense. So there weren't a lot of UK references, or at least references I didn't understand, so I did like that a lot. This book is also a movie. So I believe it is on Prime. I have not watched it, but overall this is a really cute story. Like I said, I gave it a 3, but it's really good for the holiday spirit. Another book to get you in the holiday spirit is called In the Holidays, and this is written by Christina Lauren. This is my 3rd Christina Lauren novel that I've read, and this one is about a girl who is on vacation with her family for the holidays, and at the end of the vacation she realizes that she doesn't like how her life is going. She's just unhappy with her job and her relationship status, what she's doing with her life. So she wishes upon a star to the universe and she's like, I want to change my life. The universe turns back time and somehow she is reliving her Christmas holiday, and every time that she messes up it starts over. So she ends up reliving the same Christmas vacation over and over again. But this book is so funny. Christina Lauren usually writes very funny novels, and this one was definitely one of them. I did give it a 3.5 because I like the humor with it. Also like how quick the story is told, so it doesn't take a long time to get into the plot of the story. I like that a lot. This isn't the funniest of their novels, but this one was pretty good. They do have another holiday novel that I do want to try out, but I really like this. I read this also in 2 days, so that's how you can tell that this was a pretty good book to me. Okay, so next book, and this one is also a Christmas holiday spirit book. This one is called Whiteout, and it is written by 6 Black authors. I picked this book up because I noticed that one of the authors is Tiffany Jackson. I've read a few of Tiffany Jackson's novels. They are all very relevant to Black American culture, so I like her novels a lot. However, I wasn't crazy about the story. So this story is about a girl named Stevie who is trying to get her girlfriend back. She made a huge mistake meeting her girlfriend's family, and her girlfriend gives her this ultimatum of, if you don't apologize, we are over. And she gives her a deadline of when she has to apologize by. However, that deadline also lines up with the biggest snowstorm to hit Atlanta. And if you know anything about Atlanta, it never snows there. So the city is not in great shape to handle any type of snowstorm. So Stevie asks for help from all of her friends to figure out how they can bring the two back together. So this story is told in multiple POVs, which is what I don't like about it, because each character has their own love story that ties into the grander love story that is Stevie trying to win her girlfriend back. This story was very confusing to me. It was just too many POVs. I like a story that has 4 POVs max. Anything more than that is just overwhelming to me, and I feel like I have to keep notes and keep track of the characters. So I did not like that part of the story. However, this is a really cute YA novel, and it does have multiple authors, so I did like that part of it. You don't know which authors wrote which part of the book, so I have no idea which part Tiffany Jackson wrote. But overall, I gave this book a 2. Like I said, it wasn't my fave, but it was a cute story. if you want something that's holiday-esque and if you like to read about multiple characters, then this is a story for you. Otherwise, it's not gonna be. So next up is Bitter. So this is the sequel to the book Pet, and it's written by Awake Izumi. Hopefully I'm saying that name correctly, but this is a Black authored book as well, and it is a YA novel. Now it starts out as a coming of age story, and that's what I thought it was when I picked it up from the bookstore. I thought it was a coming of age novel where the main character, Bitter, is a student at this art school that is specifically catered towards queer teenagers who have been displaced or kicked out of their homes, etc. Now Bitter goes to this very special school. However, in that town there are a ton of riots and protests every single day that Bitter is trying to navigate her way through. The story takes a turn when Bitter is working on one of her own art pieces. Her art piece becomes alive. That's when the story kind of becomes a fantasy. I was not expecting this to be a fantasy. I typically don't read fantasies. I'll read like one or two every now and again. Because I wasn't expecting it to be a fantasy, I was not happy about that. But the story itself is pretty good if you are looking to read a fantasy. Overall, I gave this a 2.5. It's the backstory of the first book, which is called Pet. Like I said, I think if I had read Pet, which I haven't, then it would make a little bit more sense as to where the story is, or at least I would expect it to be a fantasy. However, I didn't. So that being said, if you like fantasies, this is a great book for you to read. I'm not totally sure if I will read Pet based on what I read in this novel. I will say the concept is pretty interesting. I just wasn't expecting it, that's all. So next is Play to Win. So this is another Black owned romance. I really like this book. It was really great. So this is about a girl who plays the lottery and she wins. And in order for her to collect her cash, she has to officially divorce her estranged husband, who she hasn't spoken to in over 8 years. She goes to him and says, listen, I want a divorce so I can collect my money. I will pay you. Just sign these papers. Now he agrees on the notion that she will give him a chance to win her back. As you can imagine, the rest of the story is them rekindling their love, and it's really cute. I wasn't expecting this novel to be cute. When I started this book, I was like, she can get divorced. I know it. They have to get divorced. But then again, it's a romance novel, so maybe she'll end up with somebody else. That's what I was thinking. It was really unexpected. It was really fun. So her thoughts and feelings are really funny throughout the book. It also has a little bit of spice, so I did like that as well. So I gave this book a 3. I thought it was really cute. It takes place in Beaufort, South Carolina. So if you've never been there, it's a very country type of setting. So this was one of the many country setting books that I read this month, which was so weird. I would have loved it if it was in the city. However, the setting of the story does contribute to the plot later on, but overall, really great book. I did like it a lot. Next is A December to Remember. This is another holiday story. Sorry, I lied earlier. I promise this one that was the last holiday story of this video. So this story is about 3 sisters who have come back together because their father has recently passed away. He does leave a will for them, but in order for them to claim their money from the will, they have to abide by his request, which includes a scavenger hunt and them throwing a huge winter solstice festival. This story does take place in the UK, and it has a lot of references that I just didn't understand being an American. That's not on them, it's totally on me. I just wasn't expecting it to take place in the UK because it doesn't say that on the back of the book. However, it was pretty comical. I do think it could have been at least 75 pages shorter. So I think in the middle of the book, it kind of drags on where like you just learn unnecessary stuff about them in this winter solstice festival. It literally could have done without this. The end of the story picks up a lot where they start talking about where the sisters run into a bunch of different issues and they're trying to solve them right before they can put on the festival. So I did like the ending a lot, but I gave this book a 3. The reason why is because, like I said, it could have been shorter. It was just too long. I also didn't really like all of the UK references. Again, that's not their fault, it's mine because I'm not from the UK, obviously. So this is a really cute read. It's very different from your usual holiday story. It's not about Christmas, but it does happen during Christmas time. So the winter solstice is technically like December 21st, I believe. So not exactly Christmas, but around it. And I do think it's pretty funny and a cute novel. So next is The Engagement Party. So this is a new release. This book is coming out December 5th. This is not a Black owned book, but it's about a couple who is getting married, and the fiance invites her future husband's friends from college to stay in a house on a remote island. The college friends haven't seen each other in a very long time because the last time they were all together, one of their college friends was unalived on their college campus. So in this story, the fiance is trying to uncover what happened all those years ago when they were in college. I didn't like this book. So this is another book that has way too many characters, way too many POVs. I didn't like it. Like I said, 4 is my max. This one had about 8. And then it had 6 technically, but as you kept reading, it kept introducing new characters. It also was a pretty long book. It could have ended 100 pages before it actually did. By the time it did end, I knew what had happened, but I hadn't figured out how we had gotten there. There were too many red herrings for my liking, honestly. I gave this book a 1. It wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I think the concept was great. I just think there were way too many POVs. It wasn't my cup of tea. I would not recommend this. So next we have The Boyfriend Project. This one is a Black-owned novel, and this one is about a girl who is dating this guy but then realizes that she's being catfished when a tweet goes viral on Twitter. So she ends up meeting the other girls that guy has also been dating at the same time as her, and they become friends and decide they're gonna do what they call the Boyfriend Project, which is where they work on themselves and do not date for the next 6 months. However, there's a new guy that starts at her tech job, and he starts to talk to her and get to know her outside of her going viral on the internet about being catfished. As you can imagine, they start to be feeling each other, but the story takes a turn when she starts to uncover who he actually is. This story was really good. I feel like this has already been made a movie, not with the same characters or names, but the plot follows a very specific trope. I thought it was very interesting. I also thought it was pretty funny. So one of the girls that she befriends, that she realizes is dating and the same guy that she was dating, is actually hysterical. I liked her a lot. I think the characters in this book are very realistic, and I like that the author gives them a realistic vibe with their thoughts and feelings. I would definitely recommend this. I gave this book a 3.5. I thought it was really enjoyable, so I would definitely recommend this one. Okay, last but not least is The Weight of Blood, and this one is a Tiffany Jackson novel. So I talked about Tiffany Jackson earlier. This book is about a girl who is white passing and is pretending to be a white girl at her private school, but is outed when her hair puffs up after her being caught in the rain. She is bullied at this school so badly, so badly. This is a YA novel. She starts to realize that she actually has powers and abilities where she can control different things with her mind. There's so much to uncover this novel. Oh my gosh. So for one thing, her dad, who is white, she has a black mom. Her dad lies to her about the history of black people and is actually extremely racist and very problematic, but I liked that he was written as a character for this story. But what you learn at the beginning of the story is that she is actually the scapegoat for this town burning down, and no one can figure out what actually happened and how she made it happen. So the story takes you through how she was bullied so badly, how she was treated by her classmates, and also the one guy that became her friend throughout her high school experience. This book was really good. I liked it a lot. I gave it a 4. It was very descriptive. The characters were so well thought out. Like, so even like every single bully, oh my gosh, so crazy. Tiffany Jackson really did her thing with this one. Like I said, I like her books a lot. I just didn't like her combo author book. That one wasn't my jam. Anyway, those are all the books that I read this month in November. So if you guys have read any stories, let me know what you think about them in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.